Hi, Assalamualaikum to our respected lecturer, Dr. Zukimi, and everyone. Today, we will be discussing the Malaysian automobile industry is a vital driver of our nation's GDP and employment. So, in this sector, high-level managers must constantly make complex decisions regarding technology adoption and internationalization. This makes the industry a perfect context for studying organizational behavior, especially when looking at national champions like Proton and Perodua. To truly understand how these massive organizations navigate the modern business environment, we need to apply three key framework perspectives, which includes management theories, behavioral theories, and also the agency theory. So rather than just looking at basic business facts, these theories give us the tools to understand why corporate decisions aren't always optimal, how conflicts arise between different stakeholders, and how managerial incentives drive growth. So ultimately, grasping these behavioral dynamics is the essential first step if we want to propose changes that generally improve organizational effectiveness.
So now I will briefly explain the three important theories in organizational economics. So the first one is the managerial theory. This theory sees the firm as a cooperative system. Managers are expected to align their decisions with a common purpose, and by working together, they create what Julian and Mundo Clark called the common purpose advantage. So the second one is the behavioral theory. Unlike the managerial view, this theory argues that firms face multiple conflicting goals. Managers cope with this complexity by focusing on one objective at a time, using satisficing and routines. Narrowing the focus on objective myopia can actually make decision-making more effective. Finally, the agency theory. This theory highlights the conflict between shareholders and managers. Because of information asymmetry, managers may act in their own interest, leading to agency collapse. The article by Already 2025 shows that reducing this problem requires not just better reporting, but also stronger internal controls, board structures, disclosure rules, and fair compensation systems. In short, managerial theory emphasizes cooperation, behavioral theory emphasizes boundary rationality, and agency theory emphasizes conflicts of interest. Together, they give us a clearer picture of how firms operate and how managers make decisions.
Okay, so let me explain the application of managerial theory for Perodua and Proton. First, Perodua. Perodua follows something called Baumol's maximization model. What does that mean? Basically, Perodua care more about having a big market share than making high profit. They keep their price low, especially for car like Beza, which sell really well. Why do they do this? Because being the market leader gives their manager prestige, bargaining power with shareholder, and job security. So they focus on sale volume, not profit. Now, Proton is different. Proton follow Mary's growth maximization model. Since Geely took over in 2017, Proton CEO has set big target for growth, especially in EV and export market. In early 2026, Proton had their best quarterly performance in over 22 years, capturing a large market share. So unlike Perodua, which only focus on sale volume, Proton balance grow across market share, EV capabilities, and export. So these both companies compete in overlapping market segment. Perodua dominates the cheap entry-level car, while Proton compete across a much wider range of prices. This means managers of each company can chase different goals without always fighting for the exact same customer.
Behavioral theory explains that organizations make decisions based on experience, behavior, and market situation instead of perfect logic. Companies also face limitations such as limited information and uncertainty. In the Malaysian automotive industry, Proton and Perodua apply behavioral theory in different ways. Proton collaborate with Geely and use existing technology for the Proton X17 to reduce cost and risk. This shows practical decision-making and bounded rationality. Manual product focus on affordable and fuel-efficient vehicle instead of entering the luxury market. The company relies on routine, experience, and customer need to maintain customer loyalty. In conclusion, both companies make practical decisions based on market condition and limited information, which clearly reflect behavior theory.
For this slide, I will explain about the application of agency theory. Proton has concentrated ownership under Geely. This means one main owner can watch manager closely and make fast decisions. The problem was with Proton's dealership network. The independent dealers knew more about customer complaints than Proton did. Some dealers ignore complaints just to save money, and this ended up damaging Proton's reputation. So how did Proton fix this? They introduced a penalty and reward system. Dealers who ignore complaints face financial penalties, while the ones who perform well get bonus. This made dealers act in Proton's best interest, and it worked. Proton sales and market share improved significantly, while the world industry only grew slowly. So the key point here is that concentrated ownership enables effective monitoring, which reduces agency costs and improves performance.
For Perodua has a different agency issue because its ownership is shared among multiple parties. This causes managers to become more cautious and slower in making strategic decisions, especially in EV development. For example, Perodua introduced a careful battery as a service model to reduce risk. In conclusion, Perodua reduced agency problems through stronger monitoring system. Will Perodua ownership structure contribute to slower decision-making and risk avoidance?
Assalamualaikum. My name is Muhammad Fikri bin Luqman and I will be explaining about the comparison between theories as well as the strength and weakness of those theories. For comparison, those three theories have one thing in common, which is how the company, especially the managers, manage the organization. In addition, it also explains on how the managers and also the upper management dealing with the employees, handling conflicts, and keeping the relations between the different parties in the organization. However, there are also some differences in each of the theory. First, in the managerial theory, it focuses on the separation of ownership and control, giving the power of autonomy to the managers on handling the organization. Next, for the behavioral theory, it emphasizes on the importance of firm as a coalition with multiple stakeholders rather than single and unified firm, which is required for the goal setting to be done by doing negotiation with all groups in the organization to ensure the satisfaction among the members. Next, it also emphasizes on satisfaction rather than maximizing the search of the alternative. Moving on to the agency theory, this theory focuses on the relation between the two parties in the organization, which is the principal and the agent. Moreover, it also emphasizes on the importance of the organization culture as solution to the problems regarding the conflict between the two parties as well as the interests in the organization. Moving on to the strength and the weaknesses of those three theories. For the managerial theory, we can see that the strength on the power of the autonomy given to the managers give them the freedom on managing the organization without any interference from the owner. In addition, it also promotes the specialization of roles between managers and the owner of the organization. However, this theory also has its own weaknesses, which is the conflict of interest. This is happening when owners want the company to be big, while managers only focus on achieving the self-interest like organization satisfaction. However, moving on to the strength and the weaknesses of those three theories. For the managerial theory, we can see that the strength on the power of the autonomy given to the managers give them the freedom on managing the organization without any interference from the owner. In addition, it also promotes the specialization of roles between managers and the monitoring the organization. However,
Next is proton versus Perodua theory relevant in industry. The theory has divided into three, which is manager theory, behavioral theory, and agency theory. First, manager theory focuses on management decision and business strategies. For example, Proton collaborated with Geely to improve technology, product quality, and market performance, while Perodua focuses on affordable vehicles and efficient operation to maintain strong sales. Second is behavioral theory, which is emphasize employee behavior, teamwork, and organizational culture. Perodua practices stable teamwork and disciplined Japanese time management to improve productivity, while Proton experience restructuring and management changes. This creates adaptation challenges for employees. Third is agency theory. The theory explains relationship between company owners and managers. Proton balances company goals with government expectation due to ownership involvement, while Perodua has clearer governance and management structure that reduce conflict and improve efficiency.
So, moving on to recommendations, to ensure long-term sustainability, Malaysia's automotive businesses must look beyond basic sales target. Okay, so first, based on manager theory, companies like Proton and Perodua need to align corporate well-being with manager recognition. We can do this by shifting from volume-based KPIs to innovation-driven growth. This ensures that market dominance goes hand in hand with green technology, balancing shareholder expectations with managerial prestige. Second, applying behavioral theories means breaking the habit of satisfying or just doing good enough. Instead of waiting for a performance drop to fix things, firms like Perodua should proactively update their routines and venture into a high-risk, high-reward sectors such as advanced electric vehicles. This will strengthen company culture and boost productivity. Okay, so finally, under agency theory, our top priority must be reducing information asymmetry. To ease investor anxiety over broad ownership, companies should implement structural changes like creating specialized EV board committees. By maximizing incentive-based contracts and monitoring, similar to reward and penalty system for dealers, we ensure everyone acts in the principal's best interest, minimizing agency costs and building investor trust.
So, for the conclusion, organizational economic theory has explained how companies make decisions and manage their business operations. For example, Proton and Perodua have chosen different approaches based on their management style, business strategies, and company goals. And the application of organizational economic theories, which is managerial theory, behavioral theory, and agency theory, has played an important role in the company. For example, managerial theory Proton focuses on expansion, innovation, and technology development, while Perodua focuses on stability, affordability, and operational efficiency. While behavioral theory, employee performance, teamwork, and organizational culture will influence company success. Third is agency theory. Good governance and management structure can help reduce conflict and improve decision making. So, in conclusion, organizational theories can help companies in many ways, which is solve business problems, improve decision making, and reducing conflicts to stay competitive in the industry. So that's all from us. Thank you.